Welcome to TechbrothersIT. In this video, we are going to learn how to incrementally copy new files by last modified date with Azure Data Factory. Or you can read something like that. Incrementally copy new and change files based on last modified date by using Azure Data Factory copy data tool. So there is a scenario. Let's say you have one file share, maybe a folder or container, whatever you call it, and then there are some files sitting there, maybe 3 files sitting there, and then every a few minutes you get some new files. So these files keep adding to it. What you want to do, you want to copy the existing files what are there, and then also whenever the new files comes, you want to only copy the new files to the output folder. So this can be very common scenario when sometimes people what they have this blob storage, and then they have created a container, and there are files sitting there from last 1 year. First of all, they would like to copy all those files first, and then any new files which will be copied to that folder, they will be also like to copy, but they don't want to do the copy entire thing every time. So let's go ahead and take a look and create this scenario, and then we can experiment few things there and learn tons of good things out of that. Now, first of all, what you need to go to the azureportal.com, and then you need Azure Data Factory. But before we use the Azure Data Factory, we need a container. So if you see my notes right here, this feature is available when loading of data from Azure Blob storage, Azure Data Lake Storage 1, or ADLS 2, Amazon S3 file system, SFTP, and HDSFL. So these are all the file storages where these files can be there, and this feature can be used. So let's go ahead and take a look here. In my case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a blob storage. So let me storage account, and once we click right there, hit create, and then we'll select our subscription and resource group. After the resource group, let's create provide the name for the storage, and hit create, and it's validated. Now we are creating the blob storage. Our blob storage is ready. Let's go to the resource, and here that's the name of our blob storage, and I'm going to go to containers there, and then we are going to create 2 containers. One container we are going to call this input, and the other one we are going to call that output. So our goal is to copy all the files from input container to the output container, and then if the new files are introduced in the input container, they should be copied to the output container on some regular interval. We are here in the container. Let me go back. Just I want to show you from here. So this is our blob storage and containers, and this is the input container, and let's upload files. So what I'm going to do as of now, I'm going to upload maybe 4 or 5 files. So I'm going to go ahead and upload these files there. Upload. Okay, so these 4 files are uploaded. So you can see the timestamp on that, and the time they got uploaded. So it is 11:53 p.m. So that's the time. Now what we are going to do, we are going to go to the portal again, and in the portal we are going to open Data Factory. So I'm going to open TechbrothersIT, the Data Factory. In the Data Factory, if you have seen my previous video, mostly we go to the author and then start from there. Today we are going to be on the home, and once we are at the home, we are going to see this ingestion. So this ingest icon is right there. Copy data at scale once or on a schedule. So this feature was there. I actually honestly did not use for quite a bit time. I didn't even notice this is here, and I had some specific requirement where I need to copy all the files, and any modified file or new files I needed to copy. So I was looking on the blog, and this is how I found this part. So you're going to go to ingest, and in the ingest you have this built-in copy test. That's what we are going to use. So I am going to create some more videos, experiment on this one, and create more. So you know, keep watching the tutorials. Okay, built-in copy task, you will get a single pipeline to copy data from 90+ data sources easily. Okay, so what we would like to run once now, or schedule, or tumbling window, as we want to copy any new file depending on the date time. So I'm going to go with the tumbling window. So what this tumbling window is going to do, we can define our tumbling window for the starting time. So let's say in my case, if I go back here and in the tech browser storage, if I go to container here and go to input, now think about that. If my files they are sitting from last 1 year and I would like to copy, so I am not going to start from 21st right there. So I'm not going to be like, oh, October 20 and the 21st. I need to go back to all the way starting date. So in this case, if I have last year file sitting there, something like that, so I'm gonna go all the way right there and select the oldest date, maybe even go 1 more year back and do that. Okay, so in this case, I'm fine because I don't have files sitting there, so I maybe can go to the 18. Okay, so I'm gonna hit OK, and that's where our time is going to start. Now, what's gonna happen? Then we can define the occurrence from this time for how many minutes you want to run this tumbling window trigger. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and do 5 because I'm doing for this demo, and I would like to create this tumbling windows for 5 minutes. So starting from here, it's going to create the 5 minute windows all the way to the current, and then after once the next window comes, it's going to run another 5 minute window. So it will keep running, and we are not putting the end date here, so you can kind of it will keep running forever for us, so if you want to specify, you can go ahead and say like, oh, I want to load the files from starting from maybe going back to January 1st or something like that, and end date till here, maybe February or March or something like that. So you can always go and specify the date, and it will only copy those files for you. That's very important. Sometimes people only want to copy the file for 1 year, or 1 month. So you can provide the starting point and end point, and it will copy all those files. So it's going to create these windows of every 5 minutes. So in this case, if I want to specify the dates between them, and I do want 1 hour, so it's going to create the window of 1 hour and then just copy those files. So let's go in my case, I'm fine starting from 18, and then whatever my files are actually just pretty new right now, so there is no file on 18, right? So they are starting on 20th, but that's fine, no big deal, because I can start earlier, and I'm not specifying any end date here because I would like to keep this trigger running and keep working for me. Max concurrency, so number of simultaneously trigger runs at the fired. So these windows, as I was telling you, like it's going to create these 5 minute windows from starting from this point. So how many concurrent pipeline execution I want to do it is in 50. Okay, that's fine with me, and not a big deal, I can do that. So in this case, instead of going to 18, I might want to go 19, because I don't want to pay a lot of bill for just running these tons of the windows that I even don't need to use it. Okay, here I have retry policy. If I want to do retry after every 30 seconds and all that, I can leave this one as it is. That's fine with me. So I'm going to hit next, and now what we are going to do, provide the source. So let this be as it is, and then go to connection, and here we are going to create a new connection. In my case, it's Azure Blob storage. That's where the files are. So I'm going to leave this name as it is, and select my subscription and select my storage account, and then hit create. Once I create that, it's going to ask me where is your input folder, so I can browse to my input folder, and that's where input folder, I don't have to select the file here. Once the input to folder is provided, then next is okay, load all files. Now in my case, I want to do incremental. So incremental load, not I don't want to be loading all file at once. I want to do incremental. So next time when my new file comes, it will find out those files depending upon the last modified date, and then execute that. And I would like to binary copy because I really, I don't want to be worry about any other type of it. It's just copying file from one folder or container to another one, and recursively is fine if there are some folders and all that. So do you want to delete the files after completion? If you do, you can click check mark this one. So max concurrent connections, so that's the upper limit of a concurrent connection established to data stored during the activity run. Specify the value when you want to limit a concurrent connection. In my case, I'm going to leave this one to default. So our source is all set. What we are going to do, we are going to go to next, and we are going to define our destination here. Now destination data store. Now go to the connection. Actually, let's just click on the drop down and just use the same blob storage because that's where our other container is. Now here you can provide output folder, and then also you can do the variables such as year, month, and all that. So in my case, let's say if I will go right here and say output and then hit OK, and now after the output I can do something like year, and if I do that, then what's going to happen, see, the year format comes. So if you can define the year format, time to provide time to provide generated file, and you have tons of other information what you can do that. In my case, I am going to actually write straight to my output container, so I'm not gonna be like any other containers like year or month or date and all that. So you can do it if you want. Now copy behavior, leave as it is, and this is not a big deal, just leave everything as it is, just we have output. And now this is where you are going to provide the pipeline name. In my case, I'm going to say one copy files. So okay, so I just put it one, you can put anything what you like. And now this is okay, we are not doing anything else here, just hit next. And here is your summary. Okay, your copy file, that's your pipeline name, your source or your target, copy settings, the timeout, retries, and everything, and hit next. Now our deployment is in progress, so this is going to create two things. First of all, it is creating our data set, and then a pipeline trigger, and starting it is starting a trigger. So in my case, I will say it is creating two major things. One is pipeline, and the second part is the trigger. These data sets are part of the pipeline anyways. So hit finish, and now what we are going to do, we are going to go to the author, and that's where we should see the pipeline. See the one copy pipeline, and this has only one copy activity. If you guys remember that we have we go to source here, and if we open, it's pointing to the input container. So that's fine. Now we go to the wildcard. It is in input. Wildcard is right there. So it's asterisk. That means everything from input. And then what you have here, see right here, filter by last modify. So it says Windows start. So it is using a parameter, pipeline parameter, and it is a Windows end. So these are two parameters created. So how they are created, remember that we told like we want to use tumbling trigger, and to work the tumbling trigger it use the parameters. So right here, Windows start and Windows end, and these two parameters are mapped, or these values are coming from the tumbling trigger. So I will show you shortly. Okay, here see right there. So if you see right there, that's a parameter start.windows. So that's a parameter, and then these are the two parameters right there. So any file between modified from starting date and ending date, that's where it will be copied. Okay, now we go to sync, and in the sync is very straightforward. We don't have a whole lot here. It's just copying everything from input folder to the output folder. Now let's go back to our copy, and here is our pipeline. Go to trigger, and let's see the trigger now, new edit. Okay, so we are going to go to trigger. Here it says tumbling window trigger, two parameters, and we can see that. See right there, these two parameters trigger outputs Windows start and time, and Windows end time. These two parameters are passed to the our pipeline parameters from the triggers, from our tumbling trigger. So now what happened, once this trigger is going to run, it's going to pass those two starting and end modified date to our pipeline, and that's how our copy activity is going to select those files. Now let's click on the trigger itself and see. So this is the name of the trigger, and then we have its type tumbling trigger, and then now starting date, if you guys remember that I have changed to the previous day, so 19, and then I have every 5 minutes, and if I go to advanced, there is no specified date for end date, and here is the settings of what we have defined. So let's cancel this out, close this. Now what we are going to do, we are going to go to monitor, and here we are going to see our trigger. First of all, let's take a look on the trigger runs. So see that it has created the window for those all those starting from 19. So let me, if I go all the way back, last run, status, select all, and see it has created those windows for us for all the way back to the wherever, if last 24 hours, I just want to be like, trigger time. So it is it has created tons of those windows where it is creating that these passing that start date and end time to our pipeline, and then pipeline is running. So you see right there, if I go to the pipeline, it is running, and it has completed for pretty much all the way till 11:23. So if you see, these are all those different pipeline windows it generated. Remember that there was 50 concurrent windows it's going to generate for that, and just copy the data. So now we are pretty much done till here, and now let's go to the our Azure portal, go to storage, and here go to the input. And if you guys remember that these are the 4 files, and the date is the 11/11/53. Now I go to the right there in the output and see what happened. So these files were copied at 11:23. Okay, so now right now we have the time 11:24. So what's going to happen is going to run in just another with the 5 minutes window again, and anything we will put in this folder in the output, sorry, input, it will be copied to the output. Let's go back here and go to the input right there, and I'm gonna go ahead and upload a few more files, and let's just these 3, 4, 5 files. Okay, so notice that these files, okay, these files are copied there. So if you notice that these files which are 11, these are the 4 files, and they has all been copied. So I'm gonna just open a new portal.azure.com here so I can show you the output. So if I go to blob storage here and go to the containers, and I will go to the output, and these file has been copied. So you see it, they were copied on 11:23. So now these files will not be copied over. Even these files are sitting there. See, all these files are sitting there, and they will not be copied because the tumbling trigger already know that I have copied these files, and the next execution is going to be starting from this time. So it is going to be like, okay, anything after 11:23 and between then add 5 minutes later, so 11:28, anything that comes to the input folder for the time between 11:23 minutes so and 28, that's what will be copied. So as we have uploaded the files, let's see these files. So these files, if you guys see right there, these are 25, right? So let me refresh. So these are the ones which got modified, this one and this one, and this one. So these does qualify for that. So when the tumbling trigger is going to run for the next window, it's going to copy all these files. So it will be running on around 11:28, and that's where we are going to see that. So we can go to our Azure Data Factory here, and if we go to the trigger runs, and we are going to see right there. So it's right now it is not started yet. So once it starts, we will see. So remember I was telling you like it is going to start all the way to the end and all that, like from 19 and all that. So there are tons of these you guys can keep going all the way, and it will show you the date and all that, because it created tons of windows. Each one was 5 minutes window, because we have divided into the 5-minute windows, and then these all windows are created for that. Now let's go back right here. So I am see right there, and so the last one was 11:53, and between and the next one is after 5 minutes. So right there, so you see the window is right there, and now if I go and take a look on the output, these files should be copied there. So this is output. Let me refresh and see that all these files are copied right there. Okay, so next one is going to happen now. If let's say if I do a few things. So now if I will go ahead and let's see if I will delete these files. So let's say if I'm deleting these all files actually, so what's going to happen? So if I delete everything from the output, now when the trigger is going to run next time, it's not gonna bring any file, because it already have processed the files between this time and this time. So it is anything between 11:23 and 11 57 seconds it has processed that. So as these files which are sitting in the input folder, they are old files, the trigger is not going to process. So in those cases where let's say you are copying all those files and some of the trigger run failed due to some reason, you can have option to rerun it. So in my case, as of now, as I was telling you, it's not going to be syncing. So it take the files and whatever the file change or got created or modified and all that, those files will be taken. But old file which it has processed, it's not going to reprocess it. So it's not going to be like syncing. Hey, let me see if the output file has been dropped. So let me take from the input folder again and copy that. That's not going to be happening. So in this case, on the first time, if you define the date like after a year back, or the past 2020, so whatever the date you will define, it will start from there and start copying all those files to your output container. And then once it's done, then when the last run will happen, after that it's going to depending upon the frequency, let's say in our case is 5 minutes, right? So after that is going to be whatever the change in the last window, and if there is a modified file or you have uploaded a file, so those files will be processed. So in this case right now I'm just waiting for this to run. I'm going to go ahead and refresh. So I'm going to show you. Okay, so once it will run for the next window, it shouldn't copy anything from the input because these files were copied to the output, and I'm the person who dropped them. So if you see, this output is empty right now, and our input has all those files, but they already has been processed by the tumbling trigger. So the tumbling trigger window is not going to go back to the times and let me process these files. It's going to be starting anything from here if anything modified after this one, and these all file does not qualify for that because they were copied right in the previous run. Okay, so if let's refresh, and now I'm just it's almost there, around 5 minutes. So see right there, that's our tumbling trigger is running again at this point. Now anything that has changed between this date and this time, that should be processed and copied, but in our case those files does not qualify for that, so we shouldn't be seeing anything in the output. So if I refresh, I'm not seeing anything. So now if you guys go back here and let's refresh, so you see that our tumbling trigger window has completed and it has executed our pipeline as well. It has executed our pipeline, but the pipeline even did not copy anything. So if you want to take a look on this one, we can go right there and go to copy activity, and there is no file that has been processed. So in these cases, let's say no file has been processed, that's fine. But there could be a scenario where you're like, oh, you know what, and I have some files that there was maybe tumbling trigger failed or something like that, and I would like to process them. So there is a see right there, these are all the dates such as 11/11, right? So anything of starting at 11/11 I would like to rerun, or if I would like to run anything between this guy. So in this case I have the option, so I can go back here. Let's say if I will run this guy, okay, so I can rerun this tumbling trigger, and or I can rerun this one as well. So if I want to be like, oh, anything from this time all the way till here, I want to see till here, and I just want to reprocess those files and override them. So let's go back and see. Now if you see that this file has been copied, so you can rerun your tumbling trigger anytime if you want, and depending on the, see right there, so these guys are completing. And if I go to the pipeline runs, and you will see the pipeline run has done for those windows. So if I see right there, this new icon right there, so you can see right there. So if I click right there and take a look, and it's gonna be like, oh, there's 0 here, and let me go back to the pipeline trigger runs, and I can click right there. See, these are the one which are rerun. So if I click right there, view rerun history, and then this is the rerun history. If I want to rerun over again, and this is where our pipeline runs. So if I want to go back and take a look, like if this any file was processed with this window, no, this was nothing was processed with this window. So was there anything that was processed with this second. So if I gonna go right there and take a look on this pipeline, so I can see, if these 5 files were reprocessed, so you have option to go back to your trigger runs, and if you feel like you have defined the window from this time and you would like to reprocess those files and put them in the output or move those files specifically, you can always process them. So this was pretty interesting for me as well, and there was tons of learning. So with the tumbling trigger, there's a video already I have that you can use for your reference, and there I actually use the data between. I use the store procedure and get the data between two dates and process that. But here we are getting the files depending on the last modified time. So if they need to be processed or not. So I hope you learned something out of this. This will be helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.